provide individuals from under-resourced communities dignified, flexible and high-wage micro work opportunities. We looked at the hourly wage of an average F&B staff and we pay them 6 to 7 times that.
Wow.
Crazy.
I don't know what they're learning. Can you actually help us to design this ideal program that you've been talking about? I can see in your eyes the commitment to go on every single trail henceforth.
You are reading it absolutely spot on. My God, you are really good at reading before. How much?
Oh, for you, extra
Cheap.
expensive.
I see.
Yeah.
You are a very different personality from what I expected after reading your bio, if I'm being honest.
Am I more beautiful than...
Yes.
Thank you.
Exactly, that was my thought.
Thank you.
In Singapore, we take things as it is. We complain when things aren't as good as we hope. And then for the most part, we move on with life. So this year being SG60, we are going to speak to Singaporeans that see a problem, know that it's not a necessarily profitable cause, and still choose to do something about it. So our guest today is Huijia. She's the founder of a social enterprise called Skillseed. And for the past decade, she's on a journey of building bridges across communities, showing us what happens when we think it and we actually do it. Welcome to the show, Huijia!
Yay. Thank you for having me.
Also, I saw from your website, basically, you all have an initiative called Resilience Trail. Can you share what is it? Because it's interesting in that sense, but I have so many questions on why and what is the outcome that you're hoping for. So before we get there, can you share what is it?
So the Resilience Trails program is a community-driven program where we provide individuals from under-resourced communities dignified, flexible and high-wage micro work opportunities. Yeah, primarily in the form of paid community trails around their own neighbourhoods.
Right. How long is this trail?
3 hours. We
Wow.
have we have with the long version, the full version, and the shorter 1.5 and 2 hour
Right.
version.
Okay. Where do you find these people, the guides?
Work with community partners such as family service centres. So our very first pilot partner was Orkin, formerly known as Ang Mo Kio Family Service Centre. So they believe in the same strengths-based approach as we do. They could be single mothers, people with disabilities. Our only criteria is that they must be very active contributors to their community. That is our only key criteria.
What's an example of
Yeah.
being actively contributing?
No need formal credentials, no need to have formal titles, but out of their own accord, they have started a small initiative. For example, one of our guides, she started her own breakfast buddy initiative. So she actually gathers mummies around the neighborhood to provide free breakfasts for children at risk. Yeah.
So
Wow. Yeah. Early in the morning before they go to school.
Wow.
But it's so hard to find this type of guide.
Very few
Because
you
they are already underprivileged to a certain extent, whether
Yes.
they are single
Exactly.
moms and whatnot, and then they still need to from there have produced a cost on their own.
They were already doing all this. Hidden, right? Invisible to us, right?
So you're just bringing them out and highlighting them
What
or
they're
giving
doing.
them an opportunity.
Yes.
I think John was mentioning the pool that you can take from is so small, then now it's even smaller.
How you know it's small? So that's the thing, right? So we think, right? We think
I'm
that it's small.
unaware.
So we go in, and then at first we were like, how many can they recommend? They recommended quite a few, no? So we
Right.
curated to 5, and then we say, okay, we pilot with 5, and we equip them to be community guides because we got to prepare to storytelling, time management, how to engage with participants. And all 5, I know it's a small number, but still went through the onboarding and successfully graduated from the onboarding, which is very important to us. And they started to be guides, community guides. And then along the way, they kept recommending their neighbors to us. Hey, actually, right, so-and-so, it's very active and she started this with seniors over here. And then so-and-so, she's actually helping cats over here. So in fact...
there's so many.
Yeah, so in fact, for the next phase, our mentor guide, because she leveled up, she's
promoted
very
lah,
pro.
promoted.
Promoted.
Mentor now,
Yeah.
she's
Now manager.
Yeah, she was the one who recommended the next 2 guides to us. Yeah.
So what were you doing before your startup?
Oh, I was in student development.
What's it?
Student development. So I was working at a university, helping
Right.
students. Yeah. Mind you, I love my job. I love my colleagues. I love what I was doing. But then I had to quit my job because I quit my job to look after 2 family members who were very ill. So I quit my job and, sadly, they passed away back to back. And then I was in this space where, what should I do? I could go back to work or, And during that space, a LinkedIn contacted me. So 12 years ago. Why from LinkedIn? Because I thought a lot, and it also manifested onto LinkedIn. I was very passionate lah. Like, how can our youth be doing this? You know, I think they have so much more worth. Our community partner has so much more worth. Surely the programs can be better designed, you know, to respect both. So I thought. So I had a small group of LinkedIn followers lah, you know, they just resonated. And so this gentleman, Peter, he contacted me, you know, and he was working in an international school in China.
Okay.
He contacted me and said, hey, you know, I've been reading your things, what you write, and I really resonate. And, you know, my students, they have been going on these trips, are mostly shopping. I don't know what they're learning. Can you actually help us to design this ideal program that you've been talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
So he forced you to put your words into action.
Yeah, correct. So it was like the matrix, you know, the red pill and the blue pill.
Yeah.
The blue pill, you stay in your comfort zone. You just do, you know. And then the red pill is like, wow, you know, woo, right? So, you know, so I was in this space since I was unemployed. So he asked me this question. So obviously I had this choice and I thought, you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it, you know. So the very first program that I helped to co-create was with a community partner in Bali. They specialize in community-based conservation. They work with the community to preserve the environment and, you know, to promote, you know, and this is 12 years ago. Nobody cared about environment that much then, not like now, you know. So I co-designed this with the community partner. And then I said, okay, we have a program up. So you all fly to Bali. And then I felt like, wow, not sure how this would go. So I flew into Bali. I dragged my husband along. And, you know, our community partners there, they did a fantastic job. In fact, we still work with them until today, you know, like 12 years, our longest running community partner in, you know, the course that's about environmental stewardship. And then I thought that was done, right? I was like, okay, I did a great job. I went back to Singapore and I thought that was that lah. One day, while I was still in that space, he contacted me again and he said, you know, the students came back and they started to speak to the other students there. They started to speak to the principal.
Wow.
They wanted to form their very first environmental club. They started to set up recycling bins because they were so inspired by what the locals were doing in Bali about the effects of plastic and how it was destroying. And this was 12 years ago, right? Where we don't have all this climate change information. And he said it's so different from the outcome from all their previous trips. And he said, can you do this again?
For his students in China?
Yes,
I
correct.
see, okay.
And so that was the turning point. It was pivotal lah. So I was like, it was meaningful. It was meaningful for our community partners. It was meaningful for the students. It was meaningful for teachers. And I just never looked back. No? So I formed Skillseed. So that was the very first program that we did. You know, and I'm grateful for all the stakeholders that were so gung-ho lah. I mean, suddenly we just come together, let's do it, let's co-create, let's work together. And then boom. I think that really undergirded our principles henceforth.
But when you started this thing, then the insecurity would come from, would people pay to go on this guided tour? Was that not a concern?
The community guides also asked us, because we told them it's a resilience trail. Okay, we know that you have, you know, complex family circumstances and all that. We do not want to downplay that. However, we have picked you because you're resilient. You have showed that beyond your circumstances, you are doing something for the community. We want you to highlight that. Highlight your strengths. Highlight how you have shaped the community. Right? When we go kai-kai with you, you know, you tell us like, this a playground. It's not just a playground. It's my watchtower. I watch out for children at risk there. You look at the ones that run until very late, right? Actually, they run because they don't have food in their belly. So they want to be very tired before they go out. You know, stories like that. Yeah. So like all these invisible stories, right? You don't know, right? You just say playground, nyama, vending machine, nyama, kopitiam, nyama. You know, you don't know, right? But when you hear them, right, you just, there's so much discovery beyond just the history or the stats or the heritage of the neighborhood. But so they asked me, this kind of stories people are paid. I said, you don't worry. We will worry about that. Okay, but to be fair, you see Skillseed, right? When we were born 12 years ago, we have always been in education.
Okay.
Always been education. So we approach this from the educational point of view. Like, I believe, and we had, you know, by then when we started the Resilience Trails a few years, said we have connections with schools, right, who are client partners. We have connections with, you know, government partners, some corporates, but we believe that there is a value proposition, right? Youths, for them to engage with a different community, to build mutual understanding, right? To build civic capacity, to discuss sensitive issues like social mobility. Come on the trail. And then after that, we have a reflection session. Because our trail, right, is structured such that there's the walking part, then there's the human library part. They actually get to sit down and have a conversation with our guide.
How big is this tour?
How big? 15 only.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to keep it intimate because we are moving in the community. We have to be very respectful.
Of the neighbourhood.
Correct. Then we don't have to block the way, right? Because all the aunties and uncles. And plus, our community guides have street cred, So we don't want to...
Like MP like that, they walk around and people say hi to them.
Serious. Yeah, serious. Our guides, many of them know multiple languages. They go around and then they have to stop to chit-chat, Then everyone is watching like, is this real? Then they say, wait, then auntie, later I'll read your letter for you. Really? No, we are just like, it's live. It's not, it is who they are.
It's not a paid auntie.
Yeah. Not a paid auntie lah. So many aunties will turn up,
Day in the life.
Yeah, it's
not
really,
life.
yes, day in the life, correct. After the conversation with the guide segment, our guide actually leaves. And then the facilitator, so they're always...
Two people.
Yeah, 2 people. It's like this talk show, but we wheel around the whole neighborhood like
Right.
that. Yeah. So we riff off each other, but we're also a supporter for our guide lah. Because sometimes our guides, they before coming to this, yet to build their confidence, right? So we're there to scaffold, prompt them a bit like how you are doing for me, right? Like hyping me up, that sort of thing. So we also hype our guides up.
Right.
Yeah. Then at the end, our guide leaves, and then we hold space for reflections lah. So when our guide is not there, we open the space up to our participants. We say, okay, any questions you can ask, right? Even if it's sensitive questions, we'll do our best to just have this uncomfortable conversations. It's fine. Our guide is not here because some people paiseh, right, to ask, but we say it's okay. It's one of our facilitators. It's one of us. Just ask.
Yeah. When you first formed your first group of guides, how did you get your first paying customer going? How did you get your first public pool of people that signed up for this tour?
So our resilience trails are B2B. Business to business. We actually don't open up to the public or tourists.
Until now?
Yeah, until now.
I thought it would be
then-
good for tourists.
Yeah, then how people sign up? They have to belong to a company.
Correct. So that's why after this, the entire Ketchup team, entire Gravity team will sign up. And then,
How much?
Thanks, John.
yeah.
How much?
Oh, for you, extra
Cheap.
expensive.
I see.
Just for you. So organizations. So at first, of course, we reached out to our like a mailing list lah. People who already know us. But then we told them, if you see this of value, right, please share. So we don't have a budget for marketing. But basically, we have been very, very grateful that client partners who go on the trails, right? Of course, they know us first, but then they share it, They share it with other schools who may not know us. They just spread us around, and then slowly but surely we get more folks come on, board. And also sometimes we hold pro bono trails. So we pay our guides, but we don't charge. Because sometimes it's true lah. People may not know like what's this for, what is it in it for my staff or my teachers or my youth. So we say, okay, why don't you send 1 or 2 representatives down? We'll host you. You don't have to pay. We will pay, but you just go on a trail and then you see for yourself. So we just do that, and at the end we just hear from them. But we also want to improve, right? This is also a way. It's not just to get them to buy, but like, how else can we bring value to you? So we found out, the youth and the teachers, sometimes they go on it for professional development. They get to understand the ground better because they have to facilitate all the values in action projects, right? So this is like good for them to understand, okay, what a ground needs. Because our guides are experts of the community. They can advise you, please don't donate this kind of food item, or like there are these gaps on the ground, maybe you can consider. So they get this perspectives from the ground itself. For government, we have hosted public service leaders. So sometimes they come to us for example, team bonding in a meaningful way. But sometimes they walk the ground to just, see how policies are being translated into citizens' lived experiences.
Right.
But in a very neutral way, because if they
do survey or what?
it's like, but this one is just walk, kai, kia, I can use ADV language, jalan. And then, from there you can hear, and it's unfiltered, right? We don't filter, we don't censor our guides, right? They just say as it is. And then, of course, for corporates, many of them are very keen on volunteering now. But before they volunteer, maybe they can go on these trails to set the context, prepare themselves, right? Because they get to engage with a guide. So it's sort of like a preparatory course, a practicum before they go on their volunteering.
You mentioned earlier when you introduced, right, it's supposed to be high paying, and you made that commitment right from the start.
Yes.
To the guides.
Yeah. How do you define high paying? If you don't mind me asking, right?
Of course.
You don't have to say the number, of course.
Yeah.
Is this a sustainable thing?
There were a few things that we committed to besides high paying. While our guides were being onboarded, we paid them a training stipend.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, our guides, I mean, they have to feed their families, right? Yeah. So you ask them to, come train, co-create the trail, you know, and all that. We saw that there was an opportunity cost. We're taking them away from their families or from their gig jobs. So we paid them. So they saw our commitment. They say, wow, these guys are serious. Number two, how do we figure out how much to pay them? We looked at that point, the hourly wage of an average F&B staff, and we pay them 6 to 7 times that.
Wow.
Crazy. You can just make it fair wage.
Or you can make it double, which is already
yeah.
solid.
6 to 7 times?
Because 6 to 7 times that wage, right, is equivalent to a facilitator that I would pay to facilitate our trails. It is a symbolic commitment and expression to say that I believe that your role as a community guide is of this value. You are worth this much. Of course, I can just pay twice, you know, but I'm saying that this is what I would pay anyone else if they were to facilitate my trails.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's so good.
But how do you balance, like, as a social enterprise, right, the money aspect of it, and also, like, because you want to hit your goal of giving back to the community? Like, isn't it hard if you have to pay a lot of expenses?
Hitting the triple bottom line is definitely very difficult, right? Because we are actually currently not a charity. We have to earn every single cent, right?
Okay.
So, number one, the trails have to be paid, right? So that's why it's structured as, go on a learning journey. We have to get the value proposition right? So that's something that we continue to work on so that people feel that they're not going on this trail because they pity us, not pity trail,
It's for
right?
their own benefit. They
Yes,
want to
correct.
learn. They want to
Yes.
get something out of it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Of course, we are looking at more collaborations. So not just Skillseed alone doing the marketing. We have partnerships. We're looking at other community partners on the ground where, hey, if you have volunteers coming to you, might you also, share that we have these resilience trails because it helps your beneficiaries anyway.
How big is your team, if you don't mind me asking?
Our team is 7, including part-timers. You add our guides, we are 15.
Wow.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
all around Singapore where they are based, I guess.
Currently, Ang Mo Kio, Yio Chu Kang, we have 6. We have recently branched into Yishun. We have 2. With hope, end of this year, next year, we will move into other localities in partnership with other community partners. Because the way we move, right, is like social franchising, right? Yeah. So because it's very hard for us, and it's not. It's probably not good for the community if we are controlling, like the one in Punggol and the one in Tiong Bahru, because there are people there who are place anchors, right? They know the community there, like the FSCs they know the people there. They have built their relationships. So what we do is we have the SOP, right? Yeah. We know we have the design, we have the SOP, we have made the mistakes. So we just go to the community partner and say, hey, do you want to start this program? Just follow. And then we will run it together. But we learn from each other. So that if a particular region very hot, then that's where we like, wow, they are very smart. We go down there and learn from them. Then then they learn from us. Then we're excited. We're excited to see how the community there would infuse their own flavor. So that's something that we hope to do.
Okay.
Yeah. I can see in your eyes the commitment to go on every single trail henceforth.
You are really absolutely spot on. Oh my God, you are really good at reading people.
Let's go.
Just like kind of
What are we
mentioned that,
waiting
like,
for?
you also do this for like schools, right? Students in schools. But if each trail is only open to like 15 people, how do you like bring it to schools who have classes and classes of kids?
Right now, what we can do is we can deploy a few guides at the same time. Because every guide's trail is actually unique to them. So they're not having the same, it's curated around them, right? So they may be 6, but they're all, at most they will cross each other and wave happily like that, but they won't, So we can, for example, simultaneously run 4 in the morning, 4, like 60 go in the morning, 60 go in the afternoon. Of course, to respect the residents and all that, we try not to flood the entire neighbourhood. So we still advise schools to spread it out. It's a happy problem to have, I would say. If they say, please take my entire
Let's, I have 4,000 and you can
I'll be like,
please.
wow, that is such a problem then.
Yeah, but I sent you the invoice already.
Yeah, like, so hard to print the invoice. That kind of thing, like, I would love that problem. Love it. Yes.
If we could take a wider view on this, right? I look at the tours and it seems attractive, and honestly, it sounds quite fun also, right? And to learn these things, then we develop more empathy and understanding of our community.
Yeah.
What are you hoping to accomplish with this?
3 things. Social mobility. Social mobility basically
For your guides.
For our guides, yeah. Social mobility, social cohesion, which is that sense of trust and connection. And finally, we want to help build their social capital with and for them. So what do these 3 things mean, right? First, social mobility. So that's where the upskilling, the engagement of them as guides, the high wage comes in, right? Because our guides, prior to the trails, many of them, due to their circumstances, very significant caregiving responsibilities, health issues, they are not able to hold down permanent and full-time employment. They can't, but yet still have to survive, still have to put food on the table, right? So with the trails, imagine very flexible, right? 2 hours, you come down from your house, you walk around, you go up again, you look after you continue looking after your family. They can still participate in our economy, they can still have the money to reach their goals, right? So that's social mobility. Then the social cohesion, right? The sense of connection and trust. In 2017, IPS in Singapore, they reported that, Singaporeans living in public housing could name less than 1 person as social support from the private housing segment.
Meaning what? Someone that lives in a HDB, for example, don't have a close friend in private.
Yes, correct. But that was in 2017. I'm not sure what the stats are like. But the networks that you have is really tied to where you live, and of course, school helps to elevate that. But it is still true that many of us engage only in our immediate sphere, right, of influence. So this reflects in our guides as well. Many of them, their friends, their good friends, are their immediate neighbours who are also, individuals from under-resourced communities like residents of rental housing. But at the same time, research has shown that to break out of the poverty cycle, the more friends you have of a higher social economic status, the higher your chances.
Right.
Because, we've heard that term, right? Your net work is your net worth. It is true. So, true story. One of our guides, she always wanted to be a motivational speaker, right? She's a personal mobility aid user, right? And she, at first she's like, how do I even get there, right? But then she started to share this as part of her trail at the end. One of the participants had a connection to National Library. They were holding Read Fest, this event then.
Right.
And they wanted to find speakers that could talk about their neighborhood. And he linked her and us up to Read Fest. And then she got a spot as a paid speaker for one of their satellite events. Yeah.
Wow. I see.
And now, and now this participant works for us part-time. Because he helps us now. So we have been, our participants are not just participants. They are networks that we bring to our, guides where they could, bring in resources, connect them to, other people that we at Skillseed, we cannot. Then finally, the final thing is social capital, which is what we're doing, right? As the more people they know, right? The more people that we bring along these trails, that's where we hope that they will leverage this to reach their aspirations, right? Be it, I want to be a purchase flat owner. I want my children, every single one of them to go through, school and reach college level, right? So we hope that we'll just bring all these resources that are not just money, but relationships that are value to them.
It's interesting because I thought you were going to talk about wanting to bring empathy back into society.
Yeah.
But then I realized it was completely the other end. You were looking at how can you take care of your guides as opposed to let's make society a bit more connected again.
You're not wrong, I do want to bring empathy back into society because when you go on the trails, like you said, it's a
day in a life,
right? So that it's like an empathy walk. It is. It really is. You're looking through their lenses. You are looking at an ordinary neighborhood through the lens of one who has shaped it, who has, is living in it, but has done so many things in this community. So it is about building empathy, right? But beyond just building empathy, then what? Go home and right? We want action, right? We want people to say, hey, I can do something for my neighbor too. I can be part of this initiative that this guy is doing. Like we want them to have. I want to do something. Correct.
Have you received like stories that you can take as like social impact or like emotional impact? Because these kind of things are very hard to measure. So I'm assuming that there is a certain way that you use to define what success or like ROIs are.
So you're right. Actually our eyes are multifold. We have the guides, right, that we work with, but we are also engaging the participants, right?
Yeah.
So of course we have the standard like pre and post. Have your perceptions changed, right? So we measure that, right? What your key takeaways. Now do you feel inspired to start? So we have those statistics, and they are, I must say that they're pretty good lah. But one particular story that I wish to raise was that there was a group of students who came on our trail led by a teacher. And to be honest, it was a particularly challenging trail. So our facilitator was giving feedback that the students were very quiet. They didn't want to ask questions. They looked like they were not very interested. And our guide was trying very hard to engage them. Yeah.
Okay.
Thankfully, because we always have our guide was able to process it, and we were able to help her feel that we don't have to reach everyone, right? But then after the trail, the teacher writes into us and said that actually this group that you all hosted, they are disenfranchised at our school. They are the ones that they are not attending school regularly. They feel they're going to drop out. They are not motivated at all. But after a couple of them, they attended the trail, they were quiet, but they were thoughtful. They actually told the teachers that, they've seen our guides, right? The complexities in their lives and hardship, and still they step up to give back. They're not just thinking about themselves and why my life and why like that. They look beyond themselves and say, even if I have a little bit to give, I will do my best, And it was like a wake-up call for them. And they started to show up at school more. They started to show up at class more.
That's so good.
And we didn't, no. In fact, they are returning this year with 4 more classes. And in fact, we were already like a bit sad lah. Like, this trail didn't go so well, that kind of thing. But we didn't know that.
Yeah.
It would. You
never know.
I think for many of us, like a lot of us want to do good, right? But then we just think about it and then we move on, right?
Yeah.
Like, what advice do you have for people that always in their heart say in their mouth,
Inner
right? Say, I want to do something.
Oh, that's me.
But then they never got to it.
I think you've got to firstly think about what your strengths are, right? And what you enjoy doing, your interests. It has to align because you force yourself to do something just
you don't enjoy.
It's hard to sustain, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, fit it into your life, right? So that it's seamless. So for example, at Skillseed, we were already in experiential learning. We were already running learning journeys, just that it was led by ourselves. So when I engage with these wonderful individuals, it's not like I open a bakery, right? I don't know how to bake. I mean, I'm very talented, but baking is not.
No one doubts that.
Just baking is not one of them, right?
Yeah.
So, but I'm just saying, but we just worked with what we were good at doing. We were really interested in doing. So we just, seamless lah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my advice. You try to weave in
With your
seamlessly.
skills and your daily life.
Gifts,
Correct. Yeah, and also it's like even like for example on the way here to the Daily Ketchup podcast, right? Maybe every morning you will walk past something lah. I don't know lah. I'm not sure. I'm just making things up at this point, right? Like cats. Wow, okay. What if I take 15 minutes? It's okay. Jonathan and Cheryl won't mind. They're always late anyway. I'll help this cat, and foster and all that. So you weave it into something that works for you, right? Yeah. So it's not like, wow, I got to go all the way to the other half of the island to volunteer, and then sooner or later it gets tough for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a time where you had to take money from your own bank account to continue funding it, or had to borrow money to continue funding the operation?
Of course. In fact, my entire life savings is inside, man. Yeah, my
just changed
children's college. Just pray that they are smart and get a scholarship.
Or very rich.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Exactly. Yeah. Really.
No, that was at the start of your business, or that was like during a crisis?
I mean, we have been very prudent, right? So as we grew up, we made sure to be very careful with how we save. So that helped us through the crises. But it also meant that there were times to help with cash flow. My fellow director and I, we slashed our pay, right? But we didn't touch any of our staffs, right? And that I feel is at least we feel it's the right thing to do, right? So, and we don't take bonuses, we don't take all that, we just keep it within the social enterprise, so that really when COVID hit, right, we just continue pay and we just continue. We never ever, we didn't ask anyone to take no pay leave and all that. We could continue even though we were not really working, but we paid throughout all the years.
Do you feel like some of the work that you do, right, should be a government effort and not a private effort?
I don't think so. In a sense, I'm close to the ground. I'm not saying that, our government partners are not, but I am right there, right? And I see these things happening right in front of me. Our guides, I could just talk to them like that, So why should I wait for our government to come in, right? Why? I'm not saying they cannot come in. I would love for them to come in spaces where I cannot do things in. So they come
to support what you're currently doing.
Vitamin.
Yeah.
But I'm the main meal, that kind of thing. Yeah.
You're a snack.
Right? If I can do what I can, I'll do what I can. Everybody do what you can. It's a potluck. Right? We just bring what we can. Right? You wait for me, I wait for you. You wait for me, I wait for you.
Nothing gets done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because there are some people on social media also, when they donate, for example, or like when they volunteer and then they film it, right? Then some people say like, why you do good must film? Isn't this like selfish? You just like using it to promote yourself or get popular.
She's just choking up.
Yes. So I was thinking like, if it comes from like a selfish starting point, right? But you're still doing good, is it really good?
Sometimes it may start off from a self-centered point of view, right? Or you were just forced into going into a volunteering opportunity. But it can be a platform to change mindsets and change your perspective, right? You just go into it, I have to do this. But after you experience it and you feel that connection yourself, or you build bonds with the community stakeholders, then you feel like, hey, actually, I have a different perspective now. I want to know more. I want to come back more and spend more time with you, And I would say that people change, right? We evolve like every microsecond. And I would say that it's fine to start off, having to do something. Sometimes we have no choice. Or even to say, okay, I need to get this for my grades and all that. That's fine. That's fine. So sometimes, we have interns who are like, oh, I have no choice to be here because you're like my last choice, and everything.
Oh my God, they say that?
Yeah. But they're honest.
I'm sure they did not say that to you.
They did. Totally did.
Damn shit.
Wow, that's actually not nice.
Yeah, so after
you think you're my first choice, you're my only applicant.
No lah, but you see, after I cried into my chicken rice, because we were over lunch, right? I cried.
Your chicken rice become porridge lah.
Yeah, then I was like, whoa, but I hope that you still have a good experience. You see the social sector side of the world and you still gain something. And, we still enjoy this time together. And you never know, right? Maybe in the future, let's say actually your path, you end up being a doctor, but something in us sticks and you're like, you know what? I'm going to volunteer for Doctors Without Borders. And it's because of that auntie Phua long time ago, she planted this seed in me. And now even though I walk this path, I will still give back in my own way.
Wow. I'll care for you.
Yeah, then it's okay. I'm saying it's okay.
No, I agree. I think many people also feel like whether you have a savior complex or you're doing it so they can feel good. I feel like if it does not hurt anybody and it just helps you feel like a good person, right? I think just do it because it's good. I think there are also a lot of people that don't do anything and simply comment on other people doing good and then trying to find bad things to say about that.
Honestly, how can we tell, right? Whether, like you said, when someone takes photo of them, we don't know. Are they raising awareness? Do they really? We don't know. Like only the person knows, right? Yeah. As outsiders, if you're not that kind of person that does that, then don't know. Right? You don't comment on, then you don't do it lah. You're not like, now I have to take photo of myself helping because of this other person. Nobody asked you, right? You just don't do it lah, right? And I think you cannot control what other people do, but you just control what you can do lah. Yeah.
So if this conversation made you think about something that you want to improve, inspire you to contribute in your school, your workplace, or your neighborhood, if you have an idea but you don't want to just complain but want to actually do something about it, there's actually a government body that was quite new from last year called Singapore Government Partnerships Office, and they want to support and partner you. So visit sgpo.gov.sg to learn more about how you can get support to make real change happen and how SGPO can be a part of your journey. So it could be starting a new grown-up initiative on a topic that you're keen on, finding a new volunteering opportunity, or taking your initiative further with government support, because building a better Singapore doesn't just start with a campaign, it starts with how we show up for each other, and everyone can play their part this SG60. So thanks for watching, and thank you Huijia for all that you do and for being a part of this episode. Please subscribe, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh my god. Sorry. I thought I silenced my wife in London. So I'll make sure she's getting no, she's not getting robbed.
Oh, you want me to say some things or not? Help you boost your
No,
love.
it's a call for fun.
Why my husband never call me for fun? I'm so jelly. Why?
Yeah.
You just call
Hi,
him.
what's your husband's name? Let's talk to him.
No.